Hello everyone, and welcome to Faith, Finance, and Forgiveness. I'm your host, Jeneé of Jeneé.com. And if it's your first time tuning in, just to give you a brief intro, I am a speaker and financial consultant, and I help first generation grads figure out what to do with their money so they can pay off debt, build wealth, and create a strong legacy. So welcome. If this is your first time tuning in, please make sure you follow this broadcast. Make sure you also share it. For those of you who are on YouTube, please make sure that you subscribe and drop a comment down below. I'd love to chat with you. And so today we're talking about how to be your own financial mentor. Now, on the last podcast, we switched up the format just a little bit, and we're still going forward with those changes, but it's taken a little while to break right on in. So bear with us as we, roll out this different flow, for lack of a better words. So I neglected to mention, and I'll mention now, the podcast is being sponsored by The Blueprint. The Blueprint is your step-by-step online course to help you on your path to home ownership. A lot of people are making guesses or assumptions about what that process looks like. Others are jumping in head first only to get into a home, and 2 years later they're struggling financially and trying to figure out what in the world they can do because they're at the top of their budget. So the course definitely helps with making sure that you're prepared beforehand, so that way you can have more than enough money when you go into your home. It actually positions you to later use it as an investment, because if you are using your home for the sole purpose of just living in it, it's technically not an investment until it's worth more than you owe on it. And even then, it's not liquid. So you can find out more about the Blueprint at bit.ly/the blueprint to buying a home. That's bit.ly/the blueprint to buying a home. So again, those of you just tuning in, welcome to the Faith, Finance, and Forgiveness podcast. I'm your host, Jeneé of Jeneé.com. And today we're talking about how to be your own financial mentor. So if you're somebody, you're not doing all the right things when it comes to managing your money, this podcast is perfect for you. It's still the beginning of the new year, and I know New Year's resolutions are a big thing for people. And so it's not too late to turn things around if you did not start off on the right track. And if you still have your tax refund, that's a great sum of money to use in order to put yourself in a better spot financially. Plus, I'll be honest, a lot of people reach out to me in order to get a consultation, but a lot of the things that they need help with is stuff that they can figure out on their own. So my training materials that I offer, my consultations is 10 times what my training programs are. So of course I'm going to direct people to get the education and do the work themselves. But what I'm finding is that people like that human interaction, but they're going to pay for it. And that's what people don't realize. So I'm going to give you 3 tips on how you can be your own financial mentor, so that way you can save some money and educate yourself in the process. So if you are tuning in, make sure that you hang on so that way you get this information. And again, please make sure that you're sharing this so that way others who are trying to be better stewards of their finances can take advantage of this good stuff. So if you were to become your own financial mentor and help yourself move forward in the things that you desire to do, what would that look like for you? So not only would you save money because you're not paying my hourly rate or whatever the financial professional you might work with, you're not paying their hourly rate. And even if it's somebody who doesn't charge for their services, if you continuously go back to them, eventually you'll find yourself in a situation where you're sucking up a lot of their time. And we don't want to be somebody that is draining other people and taking from other people. We want to be givers. And so it's a gift to give people back their time, especially if you're not putting in the work to do the things that they're telling you to do. Because I'll be very honest, one of the main reasons why I'm backing out of meeting with people on a one-on-one basis is because I'm realizing and understanding more about myself and how I'm wired. And I'm the type of person that's wired to give people strategy. People tell me what it is they're trying to accomplish, what it is they're trying to do. And I am a natural born problem solver. So when it comes to finances, if you tell me what your goals are, say for instance, you want to save $500,000 by 2028. That's 10 years, right? I'm going to give you actual figures of what you need to save and where you need to put it. But what I don't want to hear from you after that, when you're the one who told me what your goals were and when you wanted to accomplish it, what I don't want to hear is why you can't save that sum of money when you're the person who told me that you had this goal in mind and this is what you wanted to accomplish. It's my job as a financial professional to give you facts and to give you the strategy. It is not my job to make you do the work. And so that's why I've backed myself out of doing a lot of one-on-one work with people, because they were sucking my time. And if you are taking time from an individual that has the desire to help people, you can discourage them from wanting to do it if they're not passionate about it. Now, for me, finances isn't necessarily a passion of mine so much as it is a necessity. Like, I know that this is something that I need to offer the world. Why? Because God has gifted me to be disciplined. He's gifted me to be a strategic thinker. And so it's not hard for me to piece together what needs to happen if somebody's struggling financially. So I understand that it's something that, I need to do. But in terms of being a passion of mine, my passion is solving problems by helping people figure out what needs to happen in between point A and point B. That's what gets me excited, and that's what gets me going. And so when it comes to finances, it's just pretty cut and dry for me. And so there's not much, guessing that needs to happen. And you can play around with numbers all day, but it doesn't take a lot of muscle work. So that's that. But saying that to say, we was talking about how, if you are relying on a financial professional to always give you direction, the God honest truth is they're not always going to be around. They're not always going to be around. And, I don't know where you live, if you plan on staying there forever, but even if you were to move away, you wouldn't have that close access to that person. So you never want to put your trust and dependency in a certain person, because anything's liable to happen. Something can happen to that person. Something can happen to you. You can move away. They can move away. They can switch organizations. They can take a different career path. And you'll always be stuck relying on someone. And I don't know about you, but I'm all about independence. And so financial independence is important. And so by becoming your own financial mentor, not only do you cut the tie with being dependent on someone, but you empower yourself to be able to make necessary financial decisions in order to help your future. Now, I'm not saying that you need to be an expert, because even myself as a financial professional, I have a financial professional that I go to for advice, because I realize that I don't know everything. And even the things that I do know, I still want to get a second or a third opinion, so that way I know that I'm on the right track. So being your own financial mentor doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be the expert or you have to know all the things. But what you at least need to be able to do is figure out how to get yourself from point A to point B. Or at least consult a professional to help you figure out what that looks like. And then you need to be the one to hold yourself accountable in order to get there. So it's important, and we understand why it's valuable to be your own financial mentor, because not only do you save money by not paying someone their fees, but you relinquish the dependency that you have on another individual. And it's even just like with driving, right? I remember when we moved to Virginia from New York. In New York, I used to ride the train everywhere, the train and the bus. If I ever needed to get around, that was my mode of transportation. I had no desire to drive, no reason to drive, and it wasn't until I moved down here to Virginia that I had to drive if I wanted to get around, because there's buses here, but none that I want to ride on, and they only mainly go through the inner city, so they're not even in the suburban neighborhoods that we lived in when we first moved here. And even now where I live, there's no buses actually going in the neighborhood, and I wouldn't even want to ride the bus anyway. I'm more of a train person, and I prefer light rails, above ground trains versus underground trains, but that's neither here nor there. But saying that to say, I like the ability to get up and go. I mean, who doesn't? Do you like depending on anybody for a ride anywhere? Absolutely not. And that's why, most people either have their own mode of transportation, whether it's a car, or they have the ability to get themselves an Uber, or they have the ability to, ride the metro or the train system or bus to be able to get around town. So no one likes being dependent on someone else to get where they need to go. And the same thing counts for your finances. Dependent on somebody else to get you where you need to go, it can be frustrating at times. But again, it's not uncommon to have somebody that is a mentor, even if you do receive some level of proficiency in an area. But this is just some basic instruction on how to become your own mentor, so that way you can at least get yourself to a place financially where you have peace of mind and you're not stressed out, worried, or anxious about money. So what's the solution? What does this process look like of becoming your own financial mentor? So first and foremost, you can't be critical. And what I mean by critical is you can't be too hard on yourself. I mean, especially if you're somebody who, you didn't always do the right things financially, it's not going to happen overnight. As the saying goes, Rome wasn't built in a day. So if you're critical of yourself, you're going to discourage yourself from wanting to do the right things. So and this will lead into number 2, but it's important for you not to be too hard on yourself. Number 2 is actually be patient with yourself and understanding what triggers certain behaviors. So again, if you're somebody who hasn't always exhibited the right behavior, or even, had the good skills when it comes to managing money, you need to be patient with yourself, because this is a learning process. You need to understand, what causes you to make the decisions that you make? What causes you to spend the way you spend? What causes you to want the things that you want to spend money on? And as you get to learn more about yourself, it's a freeing process, because not only are you improving in your finances, but you're also learning more about yourself. You might learn, and this can be another broadcast, but you may learn that you have some tendencies that some of your family members have shown, and you've recognized, over the years, but you never really paid attention to it. And so that opens up another door, because now if you have kids, now you know what to teach your children, so that way they don't come up doing those same things. But if you don't start to at least put forth an effort to get to understand you and learn more about you, then you put yourself in a situation where you're continuing the same cycle. And I know I'm not a parent, I don't have any children, but, I can assume and I can guess that you wouldn't want your children to experience the same things that you do or that you did. A lot of parents talk about how they want to create a better life for their children, a better environment for their children. They want to give their children the things that they never had. And so how powerful would it be for you to give your child something you never had by learning the skills that you need to learn in order to better manage your money, and then teaching that to your children. And not only would you be able to teach them that, but as you begin to make these changes, as you begin to bring more money home because you're doing all the right things, as you begin to save more money, as you begin to invest more money, by the time they become age 18, now you have something that you can possibly hand to them to make life just a little bit easier, so they don't have to start over like you did. So they don't have to start over like your parents did. And that, any parent, I'm sure, that would be a dream of theirs, to be able to create a better life for their child. And how much better is allowing your child to start off with a head start. That's amazing. I know my dad, he was able to build up the family business, and he had several investments and properties and all that great stuff. And I just knew when I turned 18 that I was going to help run the family business. I didn't necessarily want to serve ice cream. I hated doing it as a child. I actually used to sleep on the truck all the time and just eat ice cream and sprinkles. But I just knew that, even though I didn't want to work the trucks, I could help behind the scenes with keeping the books, because I went to school for accounting, and, help run the family business and even take it to the next level. When it came to our properties, now as a real estate investor, I'm understanding, what that looks like in terms of property management and how to structure certain arrangements and things of that nature, how to purchase other properties at a profit, and how to sell those to people that are looking to get into flipping properties. And so it's a lot of things that I'm learning right now, that if my dad was able to manage all the things that our family had, not only would that have sped up the process of me learning the things that I'm just learning now, but I would have had a head start, and I wouldn't have had to start all over, because by the time we lost our home, and by the time the family business was sold, I was just turning, I was 17 when we moved here to Richmond. And by the time the family business was sold, I was, wow, that was 2012. So 6 years ago. So I was 22 and I was just out of college. So now instead of helping to run the family business, I now have to find a job. And thankfully I landed something paying great money. But imagine if you can give your children a head start. In my mind, according to my perspective, I think I should have had a head start, given everything that my dad had in his possession, but he was not able to manage it. And so unfortunately, I had to start from scratch like everyone else, and my dad's history and what he had was irrelevant, and it no longer mattered because it was no longer in existence. So it's important to understand more about yourself and more about, how to develop the right skills and habits in order to be successful financially. If you don't deal with it, your children will have to, and if your children don't deal with it, their children will have to, and the cycle will continue and continue and continue until someone steps up and says, that's enough. Enough's enough. We have to end this generational cycle. And so let that be you. Let that be you. And then lastly, you have to measure your results. It's great to develop the skills. It's great to develop the habits. But you need to see, in terms of money, how much better are you doing financially? And so you need to have a system in place. You need to have a place where you can put the numbers in and let the numbers do the talking. And so on my website, I have a training. If you go to the website, towards the middle section of the website, it talks about different ways that I can help. It lays out all the trainings that I have available, and there's one in particular called Building Your Budget. So in the middle of the section, it says, I'm ready to, and one of the options is start using a budget. If you click on that, you'll be brought to the training, Building Your Budget. This particular training, it has done for you templates in terms of how to plug the numbers in. You can evaluate yourself month over month by saving down those spreadsheets, and you can break it out by pay cycle, so you can see how good you did in one pay period versus another. And it's going to take a continuous process of comparing one time frame to another until you get it right. Even with budgeting on a regular basis, you want to update it at least once a month or however often you get paid. Why? Because your expenses may change, things may come up, and every month just looks different. So yes, you will have those same bills that you'll pay each month, but you'll have special events that may come up. You may have a time where and with discretionary income or flexible expenses rather, those things are always changing. So you're definitely updating the budget for that. But with discretionary income, that'll change based on those flexible expenses. And so you want to know how much money do you have left over at the end of each pay cycle and at the end of each month, because essentially that's going to be the money that you use to begin to allocate towards those different accounts and those different funds to help you begin to build wealth and create your strong legacy. So I hope you found this helpful. Again, you can go to my website, jeneem.com. That's JENEEM.com. If you scroll down the middle section, it says I'm ready to. You want to click on Start Using a Budget. to get to the building your budget training. It's extremely helpful. It even lays out alternatives to spreadsheets. But you need a system. You need a tracking system in place for managing your money. It even has a template in there for you to be able to monitor and track your spending, because that's important as well. You don't want to just tell your money where to go, but as you go through life from day to day, you want to actually keep track of where your money is going. And so that way, when you sit down to update your budget again, you have those figures right in front of you. So, you can get a financial mentor or work with a financial professional. I advise everyone to have one. But when it comes to the day-to-day stuff, with making everyday buying decisions and purchasing decisions and spending decisions, you need to have some level of proficiency to be able to be a mentor to yourself. So I hope you found this helpful. Again, please make sure that you're sharing this, and make sure that you comment down below. On YouTube, please make sure that you subscribe. You'll get an alert each time a new video is posted in case you miss the live feed. And also, please make sure that you comment down below. I'd love to interact with you there. And this has been another episode of Faith, Finance, and Forgiveness. And I look forward to talking with you all on the next podcast. Take care.